Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class Decepticon Needlenose. So as we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging first, and we'll start right up here at the top. You have your tech specs, you have parents, and feel free to scan that QR code if you want to. And then you've got your big gaping hole, then you've got some nice artwork there. Transformers Legacy Evolution, he's a deluxe class, plastic-free packaging. Transformers over here, you got some really cool artwork with that Leo Prime and a few other guys on there, plastic-free packaging. On the back, you have Needlenose Evo Fusion, and you can see where his nebulons combine to form that singular gun, similar to that G1 figure. And you've got the guys down here, Sunbeam and Zigzag, his Nebulon Target Masters. There is the plane mode. You have manufactured information, you have the sad baby, you have the warnings, and over here you've got some close-up artwork. You've got that face looking good as it can, and then on the bottom you have that information if you care to read it. So that's it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box, and we'll start over here with your little sheet of warnings, and then you get your instruction booklet, and that leaves you with his two accessories, which are those two Target Masters. So we'll start right over here, and we'll start with the old man. This is the Nebulon Target Master Zigzag. So let me fold this down, that way you can see him just as he should be, as that figure. So there's no articulation here, this is just a molded piece, but you've got some glossy black paint on there, you've got that yellow, then you've got that little white face, looks pretty good. And coming around to the side, yeah, it's that. Coming around to the back, you've got a couple of ports there for blast effects or whatever you want to use. And then of course this is the barrel of the gun back there. Here's the left side. And the only articulation really that he has is just moving that barrel up and down so you can form his weapon. Nice flat base, so easily able to stand up, not a problem. So nice and secure there. So let's go ahead and move on to Sunbeam, and we'll take a look at him as well. We'll fold that up. So he's between the two, he's probably my favorite as far as the overall looks go. I like this combination of the purple and the red and the white. Some decent sculpt work in there, and he's holding a gun as well. It would have been nice if you could, you know, lift that arm up and maybe have him point it, but there is zero articulation in these figures. And coming around to the back, that's what he looks like back there. And same situation, you're just going to unfold that barrel, and then you have another gun. These are blast effect compatible, so you do have that option if you choose to do that. So that's it as far as what he comes with. So they're okay. You know, I really would have liked to have seen articulation in those Target Masters, but this is what we got. So I guess they look okay as guns. So now that we've gone over that, let's go ahead and take a look at Needlenose himself and see his details. And here he is, that super stylish bot that we've been waiting to see. This is Decepticon Needlenose. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at what he has to offer. And we'll start right up here with that really nice head sculpt. I think they've done a fine job here. Looks really good. I like the yellow. Got a little bit of yellow on his eye. You know, it's not awful, but would have been nice to have some slightly cleaner paint there, but that sculpt work looks really good. He's got a little bit going on back here as well. And then let's take a look at those shoulders and that upper torso. Everything comes together quite nicely, actually. He's a very solid bot as far as the inability to see through him, and I do appreciate that. So good sculpt work right through there. That Decepticon logo is looking just fine. And then down here in the crotch, not a lot going on, but it's pretty detailed for the most part. You do have a lot of hollow on this guy, so you've got hollow right here and you've got hollow in the back of these legs. This couldn't really be helped back here because of the way he transforms, but a little panel, something would have been nice. But then coming down, looking at the legs right there, you've got those kneecaps in that slightly different gray, and then you do have this really nice metallic blue right there on the bottom of his shins. It looks nice. And then he's got his purple feet. Look pretty good. Sculpt work up the side here as well. Let's lift that arm up out of the way. You can see what's going on there. So yeah, you're not going to see through this guy. I really like this, the way that they've done all this to make him nice and solid. You've got some nice panel lines right here in the back of that wing as well. So they're not completely boring to look at when he's in his bot mode. So there is his side profile view. And you can see he's got that airplane backpack. It's not bad as far as airplane transformers go. We've definitely seen worse, so I'm not going to complain a whole lot about this. And here he is from the back, just to give you that full view. So it all comes together relatively nicely, except for these, you know, big, giant, open areas right there. All right, and as far as detail back here, there's just a whole lot of airplane. We're going to see this in the bot mode. And back here, you've got some little bit of detail on the backs of those feet, and then some sculpt work right there on those legs. So yeah, I mean, it's not the worst bot I've ever seen. Really, from the front, he looks really good. From the back, he falls apart a little bit, just that big backpack and those hollow areas. But right here, looking at him like this, I think he's a pretty good looking bot. Now, let's go ahead and jump into that articulation and talk about that. So this head is kind of sort of movable on this ball joint. You're not going to get a whole lot of up and down. You're not going to get a whole lot of tilt, but you can take it all the way around if you want to do that. Over here at the shoulder, bring it up that far, all the way around if you want to. And then you do have double jointed elbows. This is for transformation, but anytime I can get them, I will take them, because you can get one heck of a deep elbow bend right there. You have bicep rotation right there, and then you have wrist rotation right there. Oh, I forgot to mention, you do have that hollow area right there. And down here you do have waist. So it's not a lot, because this is all going to get in your way. So you're going to get a few degrees each direction, but it's going to be enough to really help you out with posing. So I'll take it where I can get it. And as far as the splits, if I can keep them from falling apart, he will do a complete Needlenose Van Damme and beyond. So let's go ahead and get those arms out of the way, because I can get that leg further. Come on, arm. These are kind of tight. Not complaining. There we go. Hey, look at that. Bet you've never seen that on the dance floor before. So yeah, really, really wide splits there. Great job. Kicking forward, he will kick forward that far. Kicking backward, he is limited because of his own airplane mode, but if you swing that out, you can get it up pretty far. Knee bend all the way. I mean, it's wonderful. And then you do have thigh rotation. And then down here at the feet, you get down that far, you get up that far, and you get tilted in that far. So articulation on the whole is pretty good on this guy. Really no major complaints here. I mean, for the price point and for being, you know, the Voyager class, I'm not going to complain too much on this figure. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and bring those accessories in and show you what you can do with them. So you can take the gun, unfold it, and we'll just take zigzag here and we'll put him in the left hand, because why not? And we will take sunbeam and put sunbeam in the right hand, and you can do something like that if you want to, or you can combine these two, so you do have the ability to do that as well. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So you just take them and you can plug them in, do something like that, and then you've got super gun, and then he can wield super gun, sun zag, zig beam, whatever you want to call it. Since they combine, I'm trying to think of a nice combiner name. And he does a good job of holding it pretty well. He's a good stable figure as well, so these feet do a really fine job of keeping him balanced. So I think you're going to enjoy being able to pose this figure. The biggest hindrance is just going to be the backpack is going to get in your way, but everything else, pretty darn good. So as you can see, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here celebrating it, but as you can see, you've got those 5mm ports where you can throw in your blast effects if you want to throw them in. So let's go ahead and throw a couple of them in, just to give you an idea here. I mean, you've got a blast effect port here, 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 but we'll see that in airplane mode. You've got them down here. You've got them down here. So you've got them everywhere. You've got them on the ends of the guns, so you can do that. You can do that. You can do that. You can do this. You know, so pretty much whatever you want to do. Now, get that up out of the way. Stop falling down on me. I pushed these wings back, and when I did, I brought that part out a little bit. So, but yeah, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do with this guy. I think he's pretty posable. I think he's pretty fun. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the transformation, get this guy into his airplane mode. He looks pretty good there, but you would be surprised, that's sarcasm, that there's just a whole lot of bot hanging underneath the plane mode. But let's go ahead and get started in that transformation. So the first thing that you're going to want to do to get Needlenose into his jet mode is just take these arms, swing them out like that, and then you've got a little tab right there, a little slot, and you're going to use those double jointed elbows and just put those together so you should have something that looks like that. Do the same thing over here, swing that out, swing those up, and then you should have him configured as such. Now you're going to take this chest, you're going to open this chest up. When you do, you're going to lift these shoulder pads up, and then that's going to give you the ability to take this backpack, and if you want to disconnect that piece now you can. But this backpack I want to show you is actually on a double hinge. There we go. So it's on a double hinge right there, Well, I suddenly got an accent. So it's on a double hinge, so it's going to swing forward and back depending on which mode you have him in, whether it be bot or jet. So just swing it out so you've got a gap right there. And now take that head, flip that head in, just like that. You're going to take these arms, you're going to flip those arms in, just like that as well. So you should have everything all compacted up like that. And then you're going to close this chest up again. Everything should line up for you. And just keep everything configured like that. Now we're going to turn our attention down here to the legs. Take those legs, you're going to swing them inward. So he's a little pigeon-toed, or more than a little. Then you're going to take those legs and you're going to swing them forward. So you get this hollow area here that's going to consume the arms, and then you have this tab right here that's going to go up to this slot. So bring the leg up, give it a little bit of a bend, fit everything in, and you should have something that looks like that. And then do the same thing over here. So swing that leg in, and then bring all this forward and capture all of that. Give everything a nice squeeze. And you can see, should have a nice V shape going. Now you can take these feet, swing those feet in, just like that. And then what we're going to do now is you have these feet like such, and then you can see these two little tabs right there. If you look up under here, you've got some slots that correspond to it. So this part of the jet, if you will, is what's going to keep all of this together. So if you just give that a little bit of a squeeze, and then you can bring the jet down and make sure. So again, in bot mode, you're forward like this, and in the jet mode, you're back like this. All right. So you're going to bring that back, and you're going to give all this a squeeze, and you're going to capture everything in those slots. And you should have something that looks like that back there. And swing those wings down if they didn't already swing down on you. And then all you have to do is just collapse this so you've got tabs, you've got slots, and you give that a squeeze and a little push. And then you have Needlenose in his jet mode. Here he is on that turntable in his jet mode, and I just wanted to put him up here so we could get a full 360-degree view of him unobstructed before we bring him in for his close-up and I really start to manhandle the figure. I will say that as far as mainline Transformer jet modes go, this one's not real bad. It's kind of right on par with what we normally see from the Transformers line. There's just a lot of robot hanging underneath that jet mode, but it's not the worst I've ever seen. So, you know, take that for what you will. But let's go ahead and get that turntable out of the way now, and we'll bring him in and we'll take a look at those details and get into his accessories and go from there. Now with that turntable out of the way, we'll bring Needlenose in and we'll take a look at his details. I do want to point out right off the bat that there's a little bit of a color difference here because this is blue molded plastic, this entire assembly right here, and then they've just painted gray over right here. So there is a bit of a difference between that molded gray and then the painted over gray on that blue plastic. So taking a look up here at the front, it's just your basic cockpit and front of a plane. Nothing too exciting there. Good panel lines up at the top. I think everything looks pretty good here. Really like this silver and kind of aqua blue that they used for that paint right there. And then the Decepticon logo on both sides looks pretty good. Got your blue tail fin with the little winglets on it right there. Thruster in the back. That looks really cool. I do like that. And then this side is eerily like the other side. So symmetry is good. And coming around to the underside, I mean, we'll take a look at the side real quick, but there's not a lot to talk about there. I mean, you've got just a lot of bot hanging underneath. And then with the bottom, unless you really know what you're looking for. I think most of the bot is hidden pretty well, except for these fists right there. But overall, it's not bad. So I think you're overall in pretty good shape there. I think he looks pretty good. This is typical for Transformers jets. You've just got a lot of bot hanging underneath the jet part. So not really all that bad. I do like the way he looks in his alt mode. So what we'll do now is we'll bring those accessories in and we'll take a look at him from there. Here he is fully accessorized, and one thing that I forgot to mention when we were going over those details was he does also have flight stand capability, so he does have that small port underneath, and it's placed in just the right spot in jet mode, almost like they designed it that way. Yay! Where you can use a flight stand in his alt mode. And I think with that flight stand and with his accessories and the ability to use the blast effects, I think that really goes a long way for this alt mode. I think he looks pretty good here. So you can see he does have ports underneath. Now you could take the target masters and put them on the ports as well, but you run into a little bit of interference there just because they're so big and bulky toward the back. It kind of runs into stuff, but it's enough to hold them. But in this case, I just put some blast effects under there, kind of to make it look like a vertical takeoff and landing, and then he's just launching from there because that blast effect compatibility is there as well. And as noticed on the target masters themselves, you can do the same thing. So on the tips of those wings, you've got pegs. You plug the target masters in, and boom, you're ready to rock and roll. So I do think that this looks pretty good. I very much enjoy the fact that you can throw this guy up on a flight stand and you can use those blast effects. I think it goes a long way as far as display options and playability as well. So now that we've covered all those details, let's go ahead and get into the comparisons and take a look at him in his alt mode against some other figures that are out there. So before we get into the comparisons for Needlenose, just wanted to do a quick comparison here for the Target Masters. So you can see that you've got both of those Target Masters, Sunbeam and Zigzag. And right here in the middle, you have the Target Master that came with the War for Cybertron Sparkless Seeker. And then back here is Core Class Wheelie. So just to give you a sense of scale there of what you're looking at. Since this is the first Needlenose figure that I have in my collection, I obviously don't have any other Needlenoses to compare him against. So as a substitution, I'm bringing in my G1 Aerialbot Air Raid, kind of as that G1 point of comparison. Moving on to our next comparison, this is the Core Class Skywarp from the War for Cybertron Kingdom line. And finally, for our last alt mode comparison, this is Nitro Zeus from the Bayverse movie line, and I wanted to bring him in because there are a lot of physical similarities here between the two as far as the overall shape and a whole lot of bot going on underneath. And simply put, I don't get to use him a lot in comparisons, so I wanted to bring him out and show him some love. Alright, that's it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's get him transformed back into his bot mode. We'll do some comparisons there. Let's go ahead and get Needlenose back into his bot mode. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is just separate this area back here. So just give all this a little pull and make sure that you've got those legs separated right there. And then you can take this front piece and just give this a lift and a separate and just bring that up like that so it's out of your way. And once you've done that, you can take these legs and just pull on those legs and bring them down as such. And I should have shown it on camera, sorry. As I bring it down, I just push that foot, bring that foot down, and then twist that leg forward, and you've got one leg done. So do the same thing up here. Just grab that and pull all that forward and give that a twist, and you've got two legs finished right there. So now you can take this and just bring that out to the middle just like that. And now you can take your chest and open that chest up, and now that's going to let you bring those arms out. And you're going to want to have them oriented like this because these tabs right here are going to go into those slots right there. All right, do the same thing with this side. Have those out like that and lift this head up right there so you can push on that, lift the head up. And then you're going to take these shoulder pads right here and you're going to bring these down. Make sure the head clears them. You're going to bring them down like that. And then when you bring this down, so you've got that gap right there, when you bring this down, you have slots and tabs. Those are going to line up and you're going to push that in and get all that lined up, get that head up, and then get those shoulders just like that. And you can see how we've kind of made a little square area right there, and then all we're going to do is take that chest, bring that chest forward and give that a squeeze. And then you have that upper body done. So now you can take those arms down, rotate them around, bring them out, and then come back here and then just take this piece of jet and bring it up. You've got tabs, kind of hard to see, but tabs right there, and slots right there. Lift them up, give that a squeeze, and then you have that locked in. And then you have Needlenose back in his bot mode. For our first comparison, this is that G1 aerial bot Firefly. Moving on to our next comparison, this is the core class Skywarp. And last but certainly not least, this is Decepticon Nitro Zeus as we saw him in Transformers The Last Knight. That's going to do it for comparisons, so let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there you have the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Decepticon Needlenose. I gotta say that I'm actually really impressed with this figure. He's far more fun than I was expecting and looks better than I was expecting for this figure. So I'm pleasantly surprised by this guy. But let's go ahead and dig into it a little bit and let's talk about his overall looks, the overall aesthetic of the figure. I will say that he looks pretty good in both modes. It is the typical, got a whole lot of robot kibble hanging underneath the jet mode kind of thing going on. And I'm not the biggest fan of those hollow areas that he has. I know they do it for cost savings, but I really wish they could do something with some panels just to give him that solid look. He looks so good in that torso area, and then he kind of falls apart in the backs of those legs and on the insides of those forearms. So I wish they could have done something there. Additionally, it's just my personal preference, but I'm not the biggest fan of that red cockpit. I don't know what color I would have preferred, but the red, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work. And also in the opposite, I really like this metallic aqua blue and the silver that they used on his shins and on the tops of his wings. I think that really goes a long way as far as really making him pop. Additionally, the flight stand, the ability to put this guy on in his alt mode on a flight stand in his alt mode really goes a long way. I mean, it really makes up for it because you can really capture this guy the way I think that he needed to be seen, just with those target masters hanging off his wings, firing weapons with, a blast effect coming out of his thruster right there. So I think that really goes a long way. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 on the overall looks. Moving on to the articulation. For the price point, this is pretty darn good. I mean, this is a mainline Transformers figure, and you get almost everything that you could ask for here except for an ab crunch. He's a little bit limited in that head. He just doesn't have a whole lot of room to move it. And then, you're going to have to work around those wings and that airplane section for that waist and for the hips and stuff like that, but it's not impossible. You can do it. So I think that they've done a pretty good job there. Just watch out for those geometric interferences really with that airplane part of it, the airplane backpack, but everything else is really good. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 for articulation. On his accessories, this is a tale of two worlds here, really. It's great that he comes with 2 accessories. It's awesome that he comes with 2 target masters, but I'm not really impressed by them. They have no articulation. The only thing you can do is fold the barrels in, fold the barrels out. Otherwise, they're just standing there all static. Even when you put them together like I have them here, I guess they look okay, but I think I've still seen better. They don't really do a lot for me. I do wonder why they couldn't give these guys some type of articulation like they did for the Target Master that came with the War for Cybertron Sparkless Seeker. I don't understand why we have just these static figures here. I mean, I do. It's cost. They're saving cost, but I wish they would have found a better way to do that. So I'm not overly impressed with those Target Masters. However, I will say that because of the blast effect compatibility, that goes a long way too as far as helping. And the fact that you can combine them, it's a cool-ish type of gimmick. So they're okay. They're not my favorite. I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10 for the accessories. Moving on to overall quality. For the most part, this guy is good. Joints are tight. He does everything that he's supposed to do. Came with everything that he was supposed to come with. But really, I just feel like they got a little sloppy in the paint areas. So I've got a little bit of yellow paint on his left eye where they painted that mask. And then for Zigzag, this figure right here, Holy smokes, the black paint on this guy was so thick. So there is some assembly required. When you get these, you actually have to snap the barrels onto the figures themselves. They're just separately for packaging. So it's just a friction pin that holds those on. But I thought I was going to break Zigzag because the paint was so thick and there was so much interference there that it was really kind of worrisome. So I think they need to revisit their paint quality control as far as the accessories go, and then just fixing that eye. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 for overall quality. Bringing us to our last bullet, which is overall value. You know, inflation is what it is. I am struggling with reconciling the fact that the MSRP for all figures has gone up. I mean, you know, you look 2 years ago, you know, it's $2 or $3 US more than what it used to be. That frustrates me. I'm sure it frustrates you as well. So I will say that, you know, inflation is the biggest hindrance here as far as overall value. But I picked this figure up at a local Target here in North America for $23 US, which is the MSRP for the deluxe class line of Transformers Legacy. I think that he's worth it. I don't like paying the $23, but that's not Target's fault. That's the market. That's inflation. So I think as far as that goes, $23 US for this figure is pretty good, and I think that there is a level of value there. I mean, could you skip him? Sure, of course you could, but I'm really glad that I picked this guy up, so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 for overall value. So that brings us to our grand total out of a possible 50 points. The Legacy Needlenose gets 41 out of 50, puts him at 82%. I'm going to recommend this figure. I think that if you're collecting the Legacy line, this is one of the more fun figures that I've picked up for Legacy. He's just a good time. I don't know how else to say it. I would have liked some slightly better Target Masters, but really, his bot mode is cool and fun. His alt mode looks good, especially when you've got it on that flight stand. Transformation is fun and easy. It's intuitive. It's not overly complex, but he does a good job of looking correct in both modes. So all that just really hits the spot for me. So I think this is definitely a good figure for you to pick up. So with that, that's going to wrap up the review. I hope you guys got some good information. I hope you got some entertainment out of it. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment if you feel like it. And if you know someone that would enjoy our content or our channel, please share this information with them and help us grow the channel. It's always fun to interact with everybody and to see the channel grow. So with that, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks again. Until we see you guys in the next one, take care.